How are we all going? I thought I'd put up a review of the bike after 5 months of riding. It's had heaps and heaps of rides on it. It's been a wonderful bike so far, and I just sort of give you a bit of a rundown since there's been thousands of views on the last one when I first rode it after one ride. So I just sort of let you know where I'm up with it, what I like and what I don't like. So firstly, let's get into the motor. It took about 5 rides, I would say 4 to 5 rides for the motor to completely run in, and that to me has been the most bizarre thing, and I cannot believe I'm even saying that, but it really is very, very noticeable on this bike. So straight out of the box, they are very, very tight. This would be my first cross country in a KTM. I've had others before, different brands, but yeah, I'm telling you, I don't understand how that even works, but yeah, they are very, very tight when they first come out of the factory. But this thing absolutely flies now. And now the reason I went for an EXC'w is probably because it's a long story, but I've had that many KTMs and always been great bikes. I've loved them, their reliability and build quality and finish. But the biggest problem, as you'll know, is the suspension. The suspension on them, generally speaking, you will always have to throw a couple of $1,000. That's in Australian dollars. In American, it's probably, I don't know, $1,200 or so minimum to get them to reasonably work. And even still, they're still real wallowy. They're just not good, you know. The harder you push them, the worse they become. They're rough. They just don't have any compliance at all. So it got me that upset with riding them for so long that I actually went to Yamaha and I bought a 250 FX cross country purely because I couldn't stand the suspension on these anymore. And I absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic bike, so long as you had the thing moving and had them pushing them pretty hard. The moment you wanted to go down to slow speeds in the riverbeds and creek beds and rocks and so on, it was a horrible bike to ride. Absolutely, as soon as you hit rocks, as soon as it got anything rough, it just deflected, and it was so stiff. I did things to the suspension, to about $500 I spent on it, and anyway, it was just too hard. I actually went backwards on it, which is bizarre because I really love the motor. The motor was amazing. The handling was good, but really good and suited for open, fast stuff. And that's pretty much, that's it. It had no flexibility in the bike at all, versatility. Anyway, so one day I was out on the FX and I got offered to ride a 300 XC in a 24 TBI, which is what this one is with the premix oil, and I thought I'll give it a go, you know. Anyway, I rode it and it absolutely blew my mind. But I felt like the power was insane, but I felt like I probably would have got a little bit tired in the tight single stuff and the hard enduro, harder enduro compared to normal. And so for that reason, I ended up buying a 250 cross country. So, and it was absolutely a stroke of genius. It was the best decision I've ever made. Once I rode this, I'm telling you, the suspension on the big hits, which is what the Yamaha was amazing for, when you hit big jumps, it would just soak them up, no problem. This thing is probably just that little bit better on the big jumps, but it is ridiculously good in the slow stuff, which is, I'm talking 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 kilometers an hour, you know, that kind of stuff, you know, say 10 to 15 miles an hour. It is very, very, very good, very compliant, very forgiving. It doesn't deflect at all. It soaks up everything. The suspension is absolutely insane. It is the best suspension, period, that I've ever had. So I can't believe I'm saying that, and I have not had to spend a single cent. Where I live out here, which is out in Warburton, which is enormous mountains out here, in Victoria. You know, the township I live in is about 150 metres elevation. There's mountains here which are well over 1,000, 1,100, nearly 1,200 metres in elevation from the township. So there's some really steep stuff, and it's amazing to ride. This thing is incredible. It is better than any EXC. It is better than my cross-country bike I've ever had. And suspension is insane. The motor is ridiculous. It is, it's just got so much power, and yet it's just well hidden until you really crack it open and you get it on the pipe and you can experience it on the green map. This thing is ballistic. It is such a weapon, but it's not like an instant on-off tap like you would expect. It's nowhere near as tiring to ride. It's actually not tiring to ride at all compared to my 250 four-stroke. That thing used to absolutely wear me out. This thing you could ride all day and you wouldn't even know you're riding it. So that's obviously got a lot to do with the way the motor characteristics and the suspension. So combined together, it's really good. Torquiness, if you put this in second gear, I'm telling you, now, I don't know if you can see the mountains around me, but I'll go for a little walk while we're talking. I'll just show you some of the areas around here. I'm talking really steep stuff out here, and in second gear, you will get up literally anything, up any wall. So long as your tire's good, you will get up literally anything. So it's a pretty special bike. Way more torque than a 300 EXC or XCW in America, purely because it has more horsepower out of the box. So here it is. I'm in the mountains here, so that's a realistic view of my street. And there, just some of the mountains. There's a bigger one behind it. That's over 1,000 metre elevation from the bottom of the hill. And I'm surrounded by mountains everywhere all around me here. So you can kind of get a gist of what it's like. There's mountains on every side. So very steep. Anyway, second gear, you will get up anything, and I'm talking anything at all. So yeah, it's a 300 EXC delivers 49 horsepower. The 250 XC across country is 55 horsepower. So 6 more horsepower out of a 250 compared to a 300, just because the motor's just got that much more juice in it. So something to be aware of. So you'll never be looking for power. The other thing I like about it being a 250 is got less inertia. Corners like a dream. You can just rail corners. And it just hooks up. I really loved going to the Yamaha for the linkage suspension. So this was another factor for me going into a KTM after having dozens and dozens and dozens of PDS. It really does make a difference. Can't believe I'm saying it, but then again, you just got to know and ride them both back to back. So extremely good on the PDS. on the linkage. The other thing which is good about these compared to the Huskies is that it has the Brembo brakes. Like I said in the last video, I literally rode from here to, that street just over there, flat out, put the brakes on, went to turn, and I almost went straight ahead. I couldn't stop it. So those Brake Tech brakes, whatever they are, they're hopeless. So I just couldn't. If you can't stop and turn a bike, I don't see the point, honestly. So the Brembos are, I think that's where all the fun is. You get into a corner, you put the brakes on, hit it hard, take off like a bat hell out of a corner, and off you go. So that's the joy for me about riding. So Brembos are fantastic. Clutch is really good. I tried one of those MS Engineering, whatever it is, clutch levers. They're absolutely, completely useless. I am not silly. I know how to do it, how to adjust the clutch, but it constantly keeps playing up. And, I spent, I don't know how many hundreds of dollars getting it here. I think it was about $300 or whatever it was. Rode it a couple of times and sold it straight away. Absolutely useless. Don't worry about that. I wouldn't bother. One thing I don't like is I don't like this radiator cap. it was okay for the first probably 10 times I took it off, and now it's starting to get a bit stiff, a bit tricky to get off. Not the greatest thing. I don't know why they went for that. I bought the original. Sorry, I bought an orange hard equipment seat. Looks good, but it's paper thin. You drop it a couple of times and you instantly rip it. I ripped 2 of them, and I went to a gut seat for that reason. I don't think I like as much as looks as good as the other one, but this one just doesn't break. Surprisingly, the GMX tyres are actually a really good tyre. I normally don't even bother. I just normally throw them straight out and put whatever I want on it. But they actually lasted quite a while and hooked up well. This is my favourite tyre at the moment. This is a 110/118 Midas single green MX SM, which is a soft medium, Terraforce, single green. It's a gummy tyre or a combo tyre. It's a soft medium. Really good mileage out of it, and they are ridiculously good. Really light. They're 5.4 kilos. I've tried the Shinkos, which was 7.6 kilos. This is 5.4. So 2.2 kilos lighter from a Shinko to the Midas. So, yeah, and grip on this is far better and higher. They're not an FIM tyre, they're a lot higher as well. So that's really good. Fuel mileage on this is pretty good. You're getting about 100k a tank for single track, which is not bad. I think you can get about a 120 on if you're really gentle on the throttle on the open stuff, like maybe 115 is probably more like it. So that's not too bad for out of the box. I like the way the exhaust is higher on these. You can definitely notice it. Things don't get hooked up like they used to. So they've done a great idea with that. They've lifted it about 30 mil. So that is a great thing to have going your way, because otherwise I would have gone for a couple of pipes by now. I bought it with the skid plate cover, which is just a couple of bolts underneath. It's definitely worth getting. It saves your linkage. Apart from that, there is nothing to buy, nothing to spend on it. Absolutely nothing. Just the seat, cover on that. There's nothing to buy on this bike. I've adjusted the clickers a few times back and forth. So I have bought these little adjusters on it, which are the KTM, just the 3 grip things. I find I can, on the fly, turn it a little bit easier. I find that's about the only thing. I like to move my levers right in as well. So normally my levers are always in line. That little kink is in line with that. These ones, you'll see the same. That kink is right in line with it there. And that is a big deal. Actually gives you really good leverage. There's nothing to do on this is a number 9, I think it is. I can't see. I think it's a number 9. Should be able to see it there. Yeah, it's a number 9. Oh, where is it? Can't see it. I saw it before. Anyway, it's not too bad. There is a lighter one than that, but for $550 or $70 Australian, it's not worth it. I moved this thing upside down. That was a little tip for you. My son actually did that. Normally the red's at the top. I find that as you are starting the bike, you want it just there rather than try and search it underneath. So I flipped it on the top, right in line with my thumb. That's actually needs to go up at about 5 or 6 mil. So it should be just right there. And then when I stall it, you just leave it in gear and just turn it off. Very rarely I'll press the button. So that works well. The starter motor is fantastic on this bike. It never ever fails. Oh, this is one thing I have done as well. I've got a light switch on it. So in Australia, you have to run a light. So 35 watt stator won't run a 55 watt globe. It just kill the battery. But I have got it on. I've got mine on here, which is just the normal light is always on. The tail light is always on. When you brake, the brake light switches on and it doesn't go out. Unless I did have a failure once when I was in a tight singles and I was completely turning it on off for about an hour and a half, and I left the light on and it actually died the battery, killed the battery. I got roll start and started again, and then she charged it back up pretty quick. So now I know that if I'm in a tight single bed, you know, a river bed for hours, I will just turn the switch off, and the brake will only activate once the pedal is being hit. Being pressed on the rear brake. Apart from that, that is all that I can say. It is a weapon. Don't buy an EXC'w if you can, unless you need road reg. Definitely buy an EXC'w if I was you. If you like to get up any type of hill, if you like the bikes to be playful and light feeling, the 250 EXC'w is the ultimate bike. If you're a lazy rider, you know, I don't know what the mentality is, but the 300s are really good for under 30 k's an hour if that's all you ever do. But you know, when we say hard enduro, we're not real hard enduro guys. We're just you know, we'll do some snotty stuff, and that's about it. You know, snotty hills and creek beds and big logs and so on. That's about it. But none of us are Graham Jarvis or you know, Billy Bolt. So there's not many people who can ride like that. So I don't think you'll need a 300 personally. And the other interesting thing enough, I drag raced. My son drag race. I was right behind him. He's got a 250 EXC'w like mine against a brand new 300 EXC'w TBI as well, and this thing blew it off the charts. Like it just dragged it, you know, like it was standing still. So there you go. And it also beat a 4-stroke as well. So my mate was dragging his brother, who had a 300 EXC'w against a Kawasaki 250 FX or whatever it was, and that thing blew it off the park. And then my son raced it against this thing, and he made him look silly. So they're very quick bike. So full package, I reckon. There you go. Have any questions, send me a question there, and I'll happy to answer back. But hope you like the video. That's it for now.